Hi friends, it's Nicole here today with a clean and simple rainbow birthday messages card featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies. If you guys follow me at all, you know I don't do a ton of clean and simple. I tend to gravitate towards a little bit more labor-intensive cards, but every once in a while there is a card design that is just stuck in my head that I really want to try. And one of those is this rainbow strip of sentiments card that features the birthday messages stamp set and the sentiment strips dies. And the way this came about was kind of on accident. I realized that one of the sentiment strip dies actually is 4¼ inches long. So it's going to completely go side to side on a standard A2 sized card base. And I thought it would be really fun to stamp a bunch of the sentiments from the birthday messages stamp set on some strips, die cut those, and then put them in order on a card for a rainbow background. So essentially we're die cutting each individual strip. They're all going to have different messages, and then we will highlight that with a large die cut scripty word and very simple embellishments. And I just completely loved this idea, and I'm really thrilled it worked out. What you're seeing me do here is stamp the sentiments from birthday messages on different colors of cardstock, and then I am going to go ahead and put these in a row on my card. A few little tips and tricks that I want to share with you along the way is make sure you know where you're going to be die cutting your strip. So for instance, on my card, I want my stamped sentiments to all be shifted over to the right. So I'm going to have a lot more white space over on the left. I need to stamp my sentiment closer to the right side so that I have plenty of room to die cut it over to the left. I've also pre-laid out my sentiments on a piece of paper. I had a rough idea of what I was going to use ahead of time and the order I'm going to stamp them in. And then I simply stamped them. I didn't have to worry about lining them up perfectly because we can line that up perfectly with the sentiment strip die before we run it through the die cutting machine, which is totally a life-changing thing here for this card. And another little tip is I highly recommend using a stamp positioner. You don't have to, but I found it easiest to stamp my sentiments twice with my clear embossing ink just to make sure the phrase is nice and crisp and has plenty of ink to hold my white embossing powder before I add that. That way it's definitely nice and crisp. It's going to be very legible. I'm heat setting each of these. I did kind of do this more assembly line style as I got going, where I stamped all the sentiments, embossed them, and then went through and die cut each of them with the sentiment strip, which is going to be the same strip. Also make sure that your embossing powder is completely dry after you've heat set it before you buff away any of that excess powder from a powder tool. Otherwise, the embossing powder will smear. So I made sure that the cardstock was completely cool before I went ahead and buffed away that additional powder and ran it through my die cutting machine. Here you can see all of those borders lined up. If I wanted to, I could put them right on a white background. I actually opted not to do that today, and I'm going to place it on a light gray background. I've got a piece of fun foam here that I'm applying stick-it adhesive to both sides. I'm doing this so that I can create a dimensional die cut. This is a clean and simple card, but there's a few little things you can do that add some interest and really make this shine. One of those is making this a dimensional scripty die cut. I'm going to remove one of the sides of the stick-it adhesive and replace it with smooth white cardstock before running it through my die cutting machine with the birthday script die, Creative Cuts die from Mama Elephant. This is going to die cut it from white Again, I wanted the white to coordinate and complement the white embossed sentiments. We're going to adhere the birthday messages kind of at, or not kind of, but up and down, but it's going to be tipped on its side, if you will. These are all going to be straight across. So not only are they a sentiment on the card, but they're a design element. Starting at the bottom, because I want a little gray space at the bottom and I want a little bit wider gray space up at the top, I'm going to start adhering my strips. You could also, if you wanted to, add more of these. So if you want to do a little bit more gradient in color, maybe have a light purple added in there, maybe have a lighter pink added in there, another yellow, another orange, you can totally do that. I did not stick to a certain collection of cardstock for my strips, but rather I used whatever color of cardstock I had that I thought went together. So we've got some Hero Arts, we have some Gina K, we have Lawn Fawn, and even Simon Says Stamp cardstock represented here. 4 different companies of cardstock, and it was simply based on the color of the cardstock and what I thought went together the best. On each strip, I'm applying some double-sided adhesive and then adhering this in place on the smoke gray background. Just making sure I line these up one on top of another. You could use whatever adhesive works best for you. I found this worked really well. I love double-sided adhesive like this. And by starting at the bottom and moving my way up, I'm just keeping all of those exactly straight across, and I want to make sure that they go side to side. My panel is trimmed to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. This panel will completely cover the front of an A2 sized card base. If you don't need a birthday card, you could consider using many different sentiment strip stamp sets to get similar designs. Friendship cards, love cards, encouragement cards, congratulations cards. There are lots of stamp sets out there that have sentiment strips that would work, or little sentiments that are in small strips that would work with this design. So play around with those stamp sets that you have in your collection, and you can create all kinds of awesome cards like this. You do not have to do rainbow either. Maybe you want to do a certain color combination, blues and purples, or blues and greens, or pinks and reds. Whatever it might be, you could create a very similar design. I tend to gravitate towards rainbow, plus I have done a lot of rainbow birthday cards lately. I don't really know why, I just love them, they're happy. And so I went ahead and did rainbow here today, but you could definitely do a lot of different color combinations. Even a pastel rainbow instead of the more primary rainbow that I'm doing today, I think would look absolutely amazing. So here is our last strip. You can see I have a very tiny gray down at the bottom and then the whiter up at the top. And we are going to take our birthday script sentiment now and pop it out of this. It did die cut all the way, but because it's die cut from Fun Foam, scripty sentiments, any sentiments really, tend to like to stick. We have stick it adhesive on both sides because it instantly makes this word a sticker, which I really, really love. So I've popped it out of the cardstock and I'm removing any of the inside pieces from the loops in the letters. I love to use my Spellbinders Tool-in-One to help remove those. They are sticky, so they're kind of sticking to my fingers, which is helpful for removing them. And then I want to line up my sentiment, make sure the loop in the letter Y isn't covering anything up, and then as straight as possible, adhere this to the left of all my stamped sentiments, as straight and as, straight up and down as possible. In fact, it looked a little curved, so I adjusted it, and then I'm going to press it down in place. And I want to take the little dot for the letter I. It does have sticker the stick-it adhesive on the back, but I find that it's going to stay better with a little liquid adhesive. So I popped a little liquid adhesive there on my cardstock. And then we will pop that in place. Just press it down there so that it stays where it's supposed to go. The final thing we're going to do is add really simple embellishment to this design. I am adhering the whole background then to a white top fold card base. Now, the simple embellishment that I will be adding are just some little hearts. You could do little die cut stars, a balloon, whatever it might be. You could even use gemstones, sequins, whatever floats your boat there. I opted to do some little red hearts. This is from a die from the Mama Elephant BOOKMARK Creative Cuts die collection, and it die cuts 4 of these little hearts. You can see I have some other colors there. I originally thought I might do a variety of color, and then I just opted to do red, which I'm really happy with. So I added 3 up above, kind of at the tail end of the letter Y to begin with, and I coated them with glossy accents so they'll have a great glossy finish, which just adds to the embellishment of those hearts. And then I even added another heart at the loop on the letter B. I'm going to purposely tip this one at an angle because I think it looks a little better adhered that way. And I will also coat this with glossy accents and then let that glossy accents completely dry to finish off the card. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Rainbow Birthday Messages card featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.